Morgens, 8:30 in Hamburg. Normalerweise stehe ich auf meiner Terrasse und trinke meinen Morgenkaffee, aber heute ist es nicht meine Terrasse und nicht mein Morgenkaffee, denn ich wurde eingeladen von Square, mir die neuen 3 Stunden von Shadow of the Tomb Raider anzugucken. Ich war vor ein paar Monaten in London und habe da schon das Spiel anspielen können. Jetzt ist Lara Croft zu mir gereist und ich darf hier zocken. Ich bin sehr gespannt und ich trinke noch ein bisschen weiter. Wir sehen uns gleich drin.
Hier muss jemand sein. Hallo?
Schau dir an, Trans.
Oh, geil. Das ist echt gut.
Ja.
Die hat aber schon mehr Polygone als damals, ne?
Naja, ich denke mal, da wo 1 vorher war, sind jetzt 20, die so aussehen wie 1. Tja, ich habe jetzt schon knapp eine halbe Stunde gespielt und gerade entdeckt, dass man die Charaktermodelle wechseln kann, dass du nicht nur die neue Lara Croft sein kannst, sondern auch die mit vielen Dreiecken ausgestattet ist. Und ich muss sagen, jetzt nach dem ersten Eindruck, den ich vor ein paar Monaten in London gewonnen habe, der noch ein bisschen grob war, aber sich schon gut angefühlt hat, das Ding spielt sich schon echt ganz gut bis jetzt hierhin. Hat auch schon eine recht schön offene Struktur. Ich habe schon auch einige Tombs entdeckt, aber kann da noch nicht rein, weil mir die entsprechenden Items fehlen. Ich sehe schon auf mich zukommen, ja, das wird noch kniffliger, ich werde noch dümmer, aber bisher macht es echt dran. So I just had the opportunity to play a little bit of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a little bit more, since I had already played it in London for a little bit, but now I have the opportunity to ask some questions. I have some questions. First of all, could you both introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Arne Oehme. I'm the level design director on Shadow of the Tomb Raider at Eidos Montreal.
Mm-hmm. And you?
I am Jason Dozois. I'm the narrative director on Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
So I have many questions for both of you. From the storytelling side, this is of course the final chapter in the creation of the new Lara Croft. So were you responsible also for the narration of the past games, or did you come new to the series?
No, I came new on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. My previous game was Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which on the story of that game. So it was a fun, refreshing experience for me to come from a very cerebral game to go into this emotional game and really conclude Lara's, origin story. What we're doing in this game that is a bit very different from the last two is adding more drama, more interpersonal conflict. It's not just environmental survival situations. It's really between people and what they believe in, and it's much more dramatic.
How was it since, correct me if I'm mistaken, this game is now made by you at Eidos Montreal, yeah? And before it was Crystal Dynamics, who made the previous two, or how was it?
Yeah, it was always a cooperation, actually. Okay. Ever since 2013, Crystal was the lead studio that developed the tech and the creative vision, and Eidos was developing content and multiplayer. And basically the cooperation continued from there through Rise of the Tomb Raider, and now the percentage has shifted. Basically, Eidos Montreal is the lead studio with the creative vision, and Crystal is supporting us. But they are still building content for the game.
All right. Did you have some kind of guidelines since you're taking over more responsibilities with a new title? Of course, since I don't want to compare it to the Star Wars movies or something, there are different directors, have the different ways to want to tell. Did you have already a roadmap for what you should do with the game, or did you have much freedom?
Well, we worked in close collaboration with the brand team over there. So from the beginning of the reboot, from 2013 to Rise to Shadow, they had a high-level arc, an evolution in mind. So we were working from this blueprint, applying our own creative vision on top of that, but it was a collaboration from the beginning and all the way through to the end.
And Daniel Chaillet-Bisson, the creative director on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, was already gameplay director on Tomb Raider 2013 and on Rise of the Tomb Raider. So basically, the blueprint for the game is pretty much in his head.
All right, so there's nobody gonna be very angry with you what you're doing with the story then.
We hope not.
So you're doing the level design, or mainly chiefly responsible for it. Yeah, the past two games, of course, and the first one, I enjoyed both very much. So they were pretty good games, so you have something to live up to with this here. But of course, compared to the very earlier Tomb Raider games, there was a bit more of a fragmentation how the games played. You had an open world, but if you had the tombs where you had, they weren't as integrated as many people thought they would be in the beginning. I've already, from what I've played, so there's still tombs in the game, but there's more integration of you have some kind of stuff to solve and anything. So do you plan this time around to the game to make it all integrated into the world?
There was a little bit development there. In 2013, the tombs were more like small side spaces, more like improvisation moments rather than real tombs. Mm-hmm. In Rise of the Tomb Raider, that was then, hey, let's bring back the tombs, let's make them real tombs, and that's when they became this beautiful big spaces which had their own narrative to them, which had like a very unique identity. And in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we kind of expanded that, basically trying to find that expression of mastery in the tombs. So basically finding tombs that are more deadly, more challenging for Lara. On a side note, we kind of realized that on the main path, as you refer to, like not only the optional puzzle, but on the main path, that you could also take an optional tomb and just basically place it on the main path, and that would actually be a good thing. Like in Rise of the Tomb Raider, for example, there was one section of the game which was initially optional, and we then later on replaced it on the main path, and we realized that was enhancing the experience quite a lot at that moment. So now in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we said like, hey, let's plan with that right from the beginning. Let's plan our main path puzzles that we have like the challenge tombs.
Yeah, and if some people are not clever enough to solve the puzzles, so are there some kind of helps inside the game, or do I have to wait and call people up?
Yeah, no, not this time around. We have developed a new difficulty system that allows the player to adjust the difficulty per what we call pillar of the game. So there's a separate difficulty for combat, for traversal, or for exploration, if you will, and for puzzle solving. Mm-hmm. And these difficulty levels can be individually adjusted. So a player that prefers to play, focus really on puzzles and be really like cerebral and try to figure out everything by themselves, don't help me at all. But I don't want to fight anybody. I just want to get through that content. They can adjust the game the way they want, and the person that likes to use the shotgun and has no time for puzzles, they can as well.
So talking a bit about the story more, you've arrived at the third game with the prequel trilogy, as however you want to call it. And what is the emotional core of the game? Who is Lara Croft in this game?
I mean, Lara has become so focused on finding Trinity, solving them, figuring out what they are, because at the end of Rise of the Tomb Raider, we find out that organization is responsible for the death of her father. So she's going after them. She wants to eliminate this organization, but to do this, she needs to understand who they are. But she's so focused on this task that sometimes she's overstepping, and she's becoming so much, through the mastery of her skills, and so powerful that if you apply this power and you're not quite ready with all the information, bad things can happen. And that's what we're experiencing at the beginning of this game. She's overstepping, she's rushing, going a little bit too fast, and she's starting to become like the people that she's trying to stop, and she needs to learn and identify that in herself and make sure that she can kind of correct this behavior. So she's causing this Maya apocalypse by grabbing this relic before she understands everything about it, despite a warning being there, because the race to win the artifact is the goal. But she needs to learn that that's not really the best way to live your life, and protecting the history is really what archaeology is about.
Yeah. Of course, in regards to storytelling, this Lara Croft we all knew from 20 years ago. She was more like a comic book character. She's cool, she's composed, she's got the sunglasses, she has the guns and slow motion, everything. And we're seeing how this character was essentially created, but that's not quite the end game there. We won't have exactly a carbon copy of the 20-year-old Lara once we're finished here. Yeah.
No, it's the end of this origin story. I mean, when the character was rebooted, the tone of the franchise changed. It's much more serious. I think a lot of this is healing the pains that she's had from her past, and also just reaching her full potential. So it's not about coming back to what it used to be. It's about continuing what the reboot was about with the same tone in a satisfying way. So you go, it's surprising, but I understand where it's going, and coming to just a satisfying conclusion.
From the level design, considering the level design, this game, as we heard, will have one of the biggest hub worlds where you can explore and can do all your stuff. Did you, when you were and your team were designing the game, is there the thought that maybe it's too big or people can get lost in there, or is always bigger better?
No, bigger is not always better. It's true that the content needs to have meaning, and it needs to have a certain like richness of story that you can find there, a richness of challenge, and basically to create that right mixture is challenging. Also, like in the technicalities of the platform that we're developing for, and naturally. But what we try to do for PyTT, which is the biggest hub that we have, is that we try to find something that gives you this vastness of an ancient city that with the landmarks in the distance and the freedom to head out in any direction and find things. Yeah? And basically from then on we kind of like boiled it down to when is the mix just right. But it's like a way bigger hub than anything we did before.
Mm-hmm. It's not just the size, it's the density. You know, it's finding the recipe of, do you want to be in a crowd all the time? No. You want to have crowds sometimes and thin it out. So it's finding the right balance of pacing. Where is there a market? Where can I talk to people? Oh, there's isolated people here. What do they have to say? And it's coming up with that mix and finding the right density. And then once you have that, then you can find the right size to put that. Now, of course, you're going to push it as far as you can until the machine almost breaks, and then just a little bit smaller than that. But the idea it's all about getting the feeling of the density of the crowds and stuff like that.
One final question, of course, Lara is also back in the cinema, has been for a while. A new movie came out. Does the movie Lara Croft universe somehow concern your work? Do you have to talk with the movie people to see where you're going with the character, or is this completely separate?
Completely separate. I mean, the latest movie was really inspired from Tomb Raider 2013, both visually and the character. So it's almost like very inspired from that. Now, of course, it's different media. You have 90 minutes or 2 hours with a movie. With the game, you have 40 plus hours of storytelling. So the pacing is very different. The tone, I think, of the character is similar and inspired, but it's still tailored for the movie because you have a limited amount of time. So we're able to have much more wider range of behaviors because we can explore or be in stealth and all these different things that you can't do as much variety in the movie.
So basically, we're a continuation of the source material, the 2013 Tomb Raider, but the movie was inspired by that. So it goes off in a different direction, but it comes from the same source, basically.
Okay, so possibly I tried out the different skins that are in the game. It was quite fun to look at a couple of the cutscenes with the old school Lara.
Yes, that's going to have quite a narrative impact. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
So I don't have to get an extra skin for Alicia Vikander to have the full experience there.
Most likely not.
So we're going to see this game. It comes out in September, yeah?
September 14th.
September 14th. And yeah, I'm looking very forward to this. Thank you for your time. I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have to go back to playing. So thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Ja, es war auch mal genug Shadow of the Tomb Raider für einen Tag, aber ist auch wirklich genug. Ich habe jetzt mehrere Stunden spielen können und ja, mein erster Eindruck mit der aktuellen Version hat sich bestätigt, es spielt sich flüssiger, die Abwechslung ist ganz gut gelegt, ich komme mit der Steuerung besser zurecht. Eine Sache, die mir noch aufgefallen ist, das ist ja was die Konsolenversionen von den anderen Tomb Raiders seit dem Reboot haben, ist, dass man sich für einen Performance- und für einen Qualitätsmodus entscheiden kann, der natürlich bei Qualität die Auflösung ein bisschen hochdreht. Das sieht auch sehr knackscharf aus, aber dann die Framerate auf 30 Frames beschränkt. Und im Performance-Modus wird die Auflösung ein bisschen runtergepackt, aber ich finde, das ist halb so wild, weil die 60 Bilder pro Sekunde größtenteils bringen schon einigermaßen was und das hilft auf jeden Fall, das Spielgefühl noch mal ein bisschen zu transportieren. Wie die Entwickler schon gesagt haben, man merkt hier natürlich storytechnisch auch an, dass die Ausrichtung dieses Spiels so ein bisschen, ja, Lara mutet sich mehr zu, als sie eigentlich noch dann verarbeiten kann. Sie wird geblendet von der Absicht darauf, dann die Trinity-Organisation zu stürzen und man kann schon ein bisschen absehen, wo das wahrscheinlich hingeht. Ja, sie wird erstmal scheitern, dann wird sie sich zusammenraffen. Jonah, ihr Kollege, sagt schon, pass auf dich auf, ne, achte mal drauf. Und das ist aber eine wichtige Lektion zu der Findung der Lara, die wir von Anno dazumal her kennen. Ich hoffe, dass es letzten Endes nicht ganz darauf hinläuft, dass wir wieder die ganz, ganz alte Lara von vor 20 Jahren sehen, weil ich brauche jetzt nicht im Jahr 2018, 2019 ein Bikini-Model mit einer Taille, wo man eine Armbanduhr drum klemmen kann, die eine Sonnenbrille rauf macht und dann mit Doppelkanonen goldene Tiger abschießt. Das muss es nicht sein, aber ich denke, es wird zumindest ein wichtiger Baustein sein und dann sind wir bereit, Lara zumindest in dem modernen Gewand dann mitzunehmen. Die Mischung zwischen dem eigentlichen, im Dschungel dann herumwüten und jagen und sammeln gegenüber den Shooting-Sequenzen oder Stealth-Sequenzen, je nachdem wie gut man ist, dann entwickelt sich die eine oder andere Situation. Die war bisher ganz gut, muss ich sagen. Da will ich auch wieder Uncharted da mal ranholen. Da fand ich, war von jedem Part etwas immer ein bisschen zu viel drin. Da war ein bisschen zu viel Geballer, da war ein bisschen zu viel Gestealthe hintereinander, da war ein bisschen zu viel Gerätsel hintereinander. In den ersten Stunden macht Shadow of the Tomb Raider zumindest das Balancing echt ganz gut. Ich habe mich jetzt nicht so gefühlt, oh, ich hänge jetzt an diesem Rätsel und jetzt können mal wieder ein bisschen Zeit für Action sein oder oh, ich habe jetzt ohne Ende geballert, jetzt würde ich mal wieder gerne mal ein bisschen nachdenken können. Ich war eigentlich immer ganz gut dabei und wenn die Mischung aufrechterhalten wird, durchweg durch das Spiel und sich nicht in die eine oder andere Richtung verschiebt, dann sind sie auf einem guten Weg. Im September kommt es raus, wir haben es gehört. Ich werde vielleicht vorher noch mal Rise of the Tomb Raider ein bisschen zum Akklimatisieren spielen, aber das solltet ihr auch, das ist ein ziemlich gutes Spiel. Gerade die Konsolenversionen sind nochmal dann gut gelungen und dann kann ich mir im September hoffentlich Shadow of the Tomb Raider geben. Ich war der Gregor, ich sag Tschüss.